All right. Great card coming up. Okay, we have a great PBC card for 154. I've been doing videos on the 154 divisions for a long time now. I'm so glad that we're finally getting fights between these top fighters at 154. Finally, it's been a rough couple of years. Um, a lot of these top guys at 154, a lot of the younger guys, they haven't really fought each other. Okay, the Andres, the Charlos, Lara. Well, he's not young, but it seems like everybody's just been fighting Vanis Martirosyan, and the older guys, the older generation. Well, I wouldn't even say generation, but the past champs. I'm tired of these younger guys just beating up on Carlos Molina and Bunridge and Ishe Smith. I'm ready for these other guys to fight each other. I'm ready for the Charlos and Andrade and Lara and Julian J Rock and Austin Trout. I'm ready for all these guys to start fighting each other. And this card is a pretty solid card coming up. Um, you have Lara and both Charlo twins. Charlo's fighting Trout. I'm gonna do a video on that. I'm gonna start off with Lara and Martirosyan, and then I'm gonna do the other couple of fights coming up. You got Andrade against Willie Nelson, great fight. I'm gonna do all those fights, so I'm gonna bust those three out. I'm gonna do Jamal Charlo against Trout, and I'm gonna do Andrade against Willie Nelson too. So be on the lookout for those videos. But this video here is for Lara against Martirosyan, all right? I was gonna do all of them in one video, but I'm gonna just do separate videos or whatever, because I don't know how long my videos is gonna be. So anyway, all right, Lara against Vanis Martirosyan rematch. Okay, now I think a couple of weeks ago, I'm actually surprised this fight is happening because I checked on Fight News and I looked at the rankings. And as far as right now, Lara is the WBA champion at 154. And he's fighting Vanis Martirosyan. And Martirosyan, I don't believe he's ranked at the WBA. Okay, I don't just think this is a mandatory or anything like that. I think this is a voluntary fight. Correct me if I'm wrong, okay? But I did check and I didn't see Martirosyan's name up there. Or if I did, it was not close to the top. All right, so I'm actually surprised this fight is happening. All right, um, I know I've seen some people complaining about this fight, about Lara fighting Martirosyan. Um, I don't know why you would complain because first of all, the first fight was a draw and the fight was stopped because of a cut and a headbutt from a headbutt. And they scored it a draw. Okay, so no one won the fight, and Vanis Martirosyan is one of the best fighters at 154. I think he's a top five fighter at 154, probably number five or maybe even number six. All right, he's a tough fighter. I mean, anybody he lost to, Martirosyan usually loses to a slick fighter, with a good jab that worked behind the jab. Andrade, he didn't look good against. Charlo was a very good close fight. That was a close fight. That fight could have easily gone either way. They gave Charlo the win, but it was a fight that could have gone either way. Willie Nelson, he beat Willie Nelson. Okay, hurt him throughout the fight. Um, Martirosyan is a tough guy. I mean, he gave Ishe Smith a good fight. That was a good fight. All right, knocked him down a couple times. Ishe Smith is not a guy that's usually getting knocked down. He actually did more damage to Ishe Smith than Lara did. And Lara beat him up for 12 rounds. All right. Martirosyan was able to knock him down twice. So I don't know why anyone would complain about this fight. I have no issues with this fight. I mean, yeah, I do want Lara to fight Andrade. Some people even said that they want him to fight one of the Charlos. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. Those guys are too tight. They have the same trainer. It's just not gonna happen. I mean, I know a lot of people go with the bro thing a little too hard in boxing, and they use that as an excuse not to fight each other. But out of all of the people that do it, those guys been sparring for too many years. You know, those guys came up, those twins came up sparring with Lara, and I just don't see that fight ever happening. You know, that guy, they're too close. You know, I just don't see it happening. Would it be great if it happened? Hell yeah, it would be great. But you know, there's other people, there's plenty of other fighters at 154 for those guys to fight. You know, J Rock is there, Trout was there. I mean, Lara fought Trout already. You know, Canelo, I mean, technically he's at 160, but, you know, he is at 154. Canelo is there. Cotto is there. You know, plenty of guys are there. Andrade is there. It's plenty of guys at 154 that they can still fight. Harrison is there. There's plenty of guys. All right, so, anyway, let's talk about this fight. Now, the first fight ended in a draw. I thought Lara had the edge, okay, in my personal opinion. But I know Lara doesn't have a fan favorite style. A lot of people think he's boring. You know, the judges really don't see him winning fights that I think he won, okay? I think he beat Paul Williams. I think he beat Canelo, all right? I think Lara is undefeated, all right? And I think the draws that he had, I think the only fight that I think that he did lose was against Carlos Molina, all right? I thought that fight he lost 6 rounds to 4. But all the other fights I think he won. But with that being said, he really wasn't doing much. He wasn't landing as clean against Vanes Martirosyan. And Vanes Martirosyan was being aggressive, but he couldn't really land clean that much against Lara. It was a lot of swing rounds. It wasn't really a good fight, okay? Lara, in his most recent fights and since his loss to Canelo, he's been a little bit more aggressive in the fights. I know he hasn't been fighting in the top guys at 154. I mean, you could still maybe put Ishe Smith maybe in the top 10 still, maybe. But you know, I wouldn't put him in my top 10. I would probably put him in my top 15. But you know, he beat up Ishe Smith, didn't stop him, beat him up for 12 rounds, beat up the other 2 guys, Delvin and forgot the last guy he fought. But anyway, he beat those guys up. He got the stoppage in his last fight. And Vanes Martirosyan, you know, he's up and down, but he's pretty much been losing to the same type of fighter. All right. But against everybody else, he looks great. I think this should be a good fight. I think it's gonna be Lara's hardest fight since he's fought Canelo. I think it's going to be more competitive than the Trout fight, you know. So I think Vanes is always a tough fight for anybody at 154. It's going to be Lara's, you know, his slickness and his defensive and his counter punching and him landing the straight left and moving against Vanes Martirosyan's aggression, all right? He's also a good counterpuncher, right? He does have a pretty quick jab. You know, he's going to be the aggressive. He's going to be looking to press Lara. And this happens with plenty of opponents that Lara face. Which one is going to win? I don't know. You know, I think I'm going for Lara. You know, I think Lara could beat this guy. I really don't see anyone at 154 beating Lara. I think the toughest guys for Lara at the division right now are, you know, Jamal Charlo or both Charlos or Demetrius Andrade, all right? You know, or Julian J Rock, all right? He could be a good fight, but I think Lara could beat all those guys in my opinion. And I just think Lara's gonna win this fight. You know, I don't think Vanes Martirosyan is going to do enough to pull off the win. You know, I just hope this fight is a little bit more action-packed. Like I said, Lara has been a little bit more aggressive. He's been moving a lot less in his last few fights since Canelo. So maybe it was just a level of opposition, or maybe Lara is trying to please the fans a little bit more, okay? So hopefully he stands there, fights a little bit more, do a little less movement, against Martirosyan. Um, but Martirosyan might force him to moving because he's pretty aggressive. Um, and he packs a good punch. He has some good power. All right, he's pretty strong, and I expect it to be a chess match. It's definitely going to be a chess match, but I think Lara's going to do enough to win the fight. Depending on the judges, it might be pretty close again because of Martirosyan's aggression, and he's going to be more willing to press the fight. Some people might look at it as him being a ring general of the fight. The reason why they might have scored it a draw in the first fight. But I hope Lara stands his ground a little bit more and, tries to stay in his face and counter him instead of doing too much movement, all right? Martirosyan, if he wants to win, take a page out of Canelo's book, go to the body a little bit more. I think he's pretty tough. He can take a good punch. I really haven't seen him badly hurt, so I think he can take Lara's power, go to the body a little bit more. He would definitely need to go to the body because as far as head hunting, you're not gonna land too many shots against Lara up top. I don't think Lara's probably a chinny guy. He's been dropped by Angulo a couple times, but outside of that, he never really gets hit that much up top. Go to the body. Go to the body. Lara, like I said, I just hope he doesn't move too much because I know a lot of the fans and the judges might see him as running. All right, so I hope he goes back to more like the way he used to be or the way he's been fighting in the last few fights since he lost to Canelo. Because I thought against Ishe Smith, a guy that was a little bigger, that was more aggressive, he stood his ground and stood right in front of Ishe Smith. He actually didn't move too much against Ishe. I think he needs to fight that same way against Vanes in this fight like he did the other fight. But I got Lara winning this one by decision and a pretty competitive fight. Every fight is competitive against Vanes. No one can really just clean them out. All right. Let me know what you guys think and make sure you subscribe.